All right, today we're diving into a classic tale of wit versus power. One of those stories that proves the sharpest weapon you can possibly have isn't a sword, it's your own mind.
I mean, it's the ultimate underdog question, right? How do you outsmart someone who has all the power? Your opponent holds all the cards, the money, the status, the authority. So what move do you even have left? Well, our hero is about to show us. Okay, so let's meet our protagonist. This is Gopal Bhar, a legendary court jester from Bengali folklore. And look, he wasn't known for juggling or doing flips or anything like that. No, his greatest weapon was his intellect, an intellect so sharp it could slice through any problem, even a royal one. So, where does this grand adventure begin? Well, like a lot of great stories, it doesn't start with some epic quest. Nope. It starts with a very real, very common problem, an empty wallet. That's right, our hero is totally broke. He's lost his last coin, his wife is not happy, there's no money for the market, the pressure is on. And it's this little financial pinch that's going to spark the fire for this whole incredible adventure. So, needing cash and having a reputation to uphold, Gopal heads to the one place he thinks he can solve his problem, the royal court. But things are about to get way more complicated. So Gopal straight up asks the king for some money. But the king and his pretty skeptical minister, they decide to have a little fun with him. They kind of suggest he's lost his famous wit, that he's not as sharp as he used to be. Well, that provokes Gopal, and he makes this incredibly bold claim. He says, "I don't imitate anyone. Everyone imitates me." And just like that, you can see the light bulb go off over the king's head. He sees an opportunity for a challenge.
Okay, let's break down the rules of this insane bet. They sound simple on the surface, but trust me, they are wickedly difficult. First, Gopal has to spend one full day with the king. Second, he has to do the exact opposite of everything the king does. So if the king sits, Gopal stands. If the king walks forward, Gopal, well, you get it. But here's the kicker, the real genius part. To win, he has to somehow, someway, make the king imitate him.
And let's be clear, the stakes here are incredibly high. For Gopal, if he wins, he gets double his salary. Boom, money problems solved, just like that. But if he loses, he gets his salary cut for 5 whole months. That would be absolutely disastrous. For the king, though, it's really all about pride. All right, the challenge begins immediately. And this thing is an absolute marathon, a grueling physical and mental test that is basically designed to completely break our jester. So first up, the journey. The king, of course, gets to ride comfortably on his royal horse. Easy. But what's the opposite of riding? Well, for Gopal, it means he has to run on his own 2 feet every single grueling step of the way. Okay, next, they get to a river. The king and his minister, they just hop in a boat for a nice, peaceful ride across. Gopal, on the other hand, who's already exhausted from running, has to dive into that cold water and swim the entire way, fighting the current.
So after all that running and swimming, Gopal is absolutely starving. And the king, this is kind of cruel, he sits down in the shade and starts eating this delicious-looking fruit. Now, Gopal can't eat, right? Because that would be imitating the king. So he's forced to just stand there, totally exhausted, stomach growling, watching him eat.
And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. The king stumbles upon a beehive, and the bees are not happy. So what does the king do? He runs away, obviously. But think about it. What's the opposite of running away? Staying put. Gopal is forced to just stand there and take it, enduring all those painful stings from the swarm.
Okay, so at this point, Gopal is at rock bottom. He's exhausted, he's starving, he's covered in painful bee stings. The king is sitting there, totally confident he's won. But this is where the real genius, the jester's gambit, truly begins.
But seriously, just stop and think for a second. What move does he even have left? He's physically broken, he can't outrun the king, he can't outlast him. How in the world is he going to force this all-powerful king to imitate him? He realizes he can't win with strength. He can't win with endurance. He's got to use something deeper, something the king has absolutely no control over, no matter how powerful he is. He's going to weaponize a basic involuntary human reflex. So Gopal just sits down, he looks the king right in the eye, takes a deep breath, and lets out this huge, deliberate, almost theatrical,
A yawn. And this, right here, is where Gopal's genius just shines. He's tapping into a real-life phenomenon called contagious yawning. I'm sure you've experienced it. When we see someone yawn, or even just hear them yawn, it triggers this deep, involuntary reflex in our own brains. It's almost impossible to resist. It's this kind of unconscious social mimicry that's just hardwired into us.
So the king sees the yawn. He knows exactly what's happening. He fights it, right? He's probably clenching his jaw, trying with all his might to resist. But biology always wins. This massive, uncontrollable yawn just escapes his lips. He imitated Gopal. The bet is over. Gopal wins.
And in that one single, simple moment, the entire power dynamic just flips on its head. The exhausted, bee-stung, starving jester is now the victor.
And this is where he gets to deliver that amazing line from the beginning of the day. He repeats his boast, but this time it's not a boast at all. It's a proven fact. He really did make the most powerful man in the kingdom imitate him.
The king, he's totally impressed. Even though he's been defeated, he honors the bet. Gopal gets his double salary, his money problems are over, and he gets to go home a hero. So what's the big takeaway from this whole thing? Well, this story is so much more than just a clever little folktale. It's really a masterclass in strategy. It shows us that real power isn't always about authority or physical strength. Sometimes it's about understanding the fundamental wiring of human nature. The simplest idea, based on a deep biological truth we all share, was able to defeat all the resources of a kingdom. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it? Gopal used a yawn. So what other common, everyday human behaviors could you use to solve an impossible problem? Think about it. Laughter, curiosity, maybe even a sneeze. What could be the key to unlocking a creative solution in your own life?